So here's what I'm thinking. Most business owners, they can actually tell you what is happening in their business today. They could tell you what's happening in a week. They could tell you what they're doing next week. They could tell you their list of appointments. They could list their meetings, their goals, their strategies, what they're doing for lead generation. But what they can't actually tell you is what their business is actually going to look like in a year from now, how it's going to evolve, what kind of systems they're going to have in place, what it's going to rely on, or what kind of leader it's going to actually take for them to get to that next level. Now, if you ask them that question, most of these business owners are not going to be able to give you an answer. And that's where the problem lies. Too many people are managing the business that's actually right in front of them, and they don't have enough foresight to think about what is actually going to require from them to move their business forward. And that's why so many entrepreneurs and small business owners wind up repeating the same year after year, over and over again. So, what I'm going to show you today is some of the foresight and some of the thoughts that you might need to be thinking about to be able to move your business forward, to be able to grow. My name is Coach Dan, and I work with small business owners and entrepreneurs, and I teach them how to run a business and how to grow themselves so that they can actually be in profit and enjoy the fruits of all of the hard work that they put in. So I want you to think about this. The name changes, the numbers move, maybe even you update your logo, but the reality is the strategy, it just stays the same. The market shifts, you're going to pivot, but the fear of the foresight, that is not going to shift here. And you're going to spend out more time putting out fires instead of preventing them from happening in the first place. And here's the thing, it's not because you're lazy, it's just because you were never taught about the methodology to start thinking further and further ahead and about the things that you're going to need to think about to put into place and how to actually plan around the goals that you have for your business. So, what keeps you trapped in this cycle is that you're actually busy solving today's issues instead of building up systems that are going to solve the issues that you're going to have tomorrow. But here's the truth about all this: thinking ahead of time doesn't take more time, it actually saves you time. When you're actually intentional about what happens next, you stop being in this reactive mode. You stop procrastinating about your everyday actions. You start making decisions that are going to align with the goals that you have, your long term goals, and then they start becoming your reality. So, what you want to do is you want to start making those decisions that are going to feed the long term goals instead of feeding the short term comfort. You start recognizing these patterns a lot faster, and that these things start repeating themselves over and over and over again. They adapt more effectively, and they build with purpose instead of panic. So here's a couple of things that you can ask yourself. So number one, what's next for your business model? Where are you going to grow? The second thing, what's next for marketing for you? Number three, what's next for your leadership and for your systems? Number four, what's your next skill level that you are going to build on? And because, as you and I both know, whatever you have that got you here is not going to get you there. Reality, if your systems aren't adapting, they're aging. And if your marketing isn't evolving, it's decaying. If your mindset isn't expanding, it's suffering. So you have a huge opportunity here to turn that into growth and to actually start building towards something greater. I don't want you to think that you need to have a crystal ball. You don't need to predict the future to be able to put the systems in place to stay ahead of the curve. But at the same time, being reactive is completely normal in small business and doesn't lean to being proactive. That is one of the biggest shifts and one of the biggest steps to be able to climb to get to the next level in business. Here's the thing, you need to be able to build a business that's ready for the next shift. And when you build it and you build the systems to be able to accommodate that, that's when you can overcome this. So I want you to think about some of these challenges. Your number one lead generation source. What happens if it disappears like that tomorrow? What happens if your strongest admin person was to leave? What happens if your competitor doubles their ad spend and starts taking market share away from you? What happens if AI automates some tasks that you still do manually and you're not up to speed on being able to do that while other organizations are able to handle that? I want you to think about that. Now, these aren't extreme examples. These are just everyday examples of things that can happen, and they're inevitable. Now, if you're prepared for this and you're staying ahead of the curve, then your business is going to grow. But if you're not ahead of this and you don't know what's going to happen, then essentially you're going to be caught behind the eight ball, and that's when your business is going to suffer. So I want you to think about what's next. But at the same time, it's not about predicting the future, it's just about being ready about what could happen next. So every choice that you make today is reinforcing the business that you already have, and it's building the one that you would like to see in the future. Most people say they're planning ahead, but their calendars are telling a completely different story. They're busy in busy work, and busy is one of my favorite words because busy doesn't echo productive. You're managing chaos, you're confusing busyness with productivity, and you're confusing this activity and looking busy with actual progress. So I want you to ask yourself, am I creating systems or am I maintaining chaos? That's the first thing. And if your desk is nice and clear, that doesn't necessarily mean that there isn't chaos. It's just an optical illusion. Am I solving problems or am I repeating them? Am I leading my team and managing them effectively, or am I micromanaging them and enabling them to continue making mistakes? Am I marketing like it's 2023, or am I testing what will work 2 years from now and coming up with strategies that are really going to draw in the consumer? So your future is already visible. We already can tell what's about to happen, and we can already have an idea about, based on what you're doing today, what your outlook is gonna look like. So if you keep doing what you're doing, we have a pretty good idea about what your 2 years from now is going to look like. So if you want to change what your outcomes are going to be, then you have to start changing your habits right now. I want you to also look at this through the AI lens, because AI is going to accelerate your truth. It's going to expose inefficiencies faster than you can actually ignore them. It's going to separate those who adapt from those who are going to just coast and take things easily. So, a prompt that you can use is something like analyze my last 12 months of transactions, lead sources, expenses, summarize what's working or wasting resources, and where I should focus my resources next year. Which parts of my success can be automated, which parts of my process can be automated, and where should I spend my time on strategy, leadership, and client experience? You might not like the answers that it's going to give you, but the reality is they're going to be right and it's going to point you in the right direction. Now, AI is not going to replace leaders, it's just going to expose the vulnerabilities that we don't necessarily see, and it's going to catch our blind spots so that we can have a better idea of how to lead our organization in a more holistic and more encompassing way so that we catch the things that we don't necessarily see. Remember, when we're doing a SWOT analysis on our own behaviors, we see our strengths, our weaknesses, our opportunities, and threats. AI can see the things that we don't necessarily see. So it's more of a complement, not a replacement. Now, entrepreneurs, they aren't stuck because they don't have ideas. They're stuck because they're working from the wrong attitude. They're doing the things today that don't match what they want to see in the future. So their actual behaviors don't match what their output should look like. So you don't need another plan. You don't need another business plan. You don't need a 10 pager or a 15 pager. And I got to be honest with you, the 1 page business plan that I'm doing with every single one of my clients is way better than the 15-page business plan that you paid $500 to download, to download online, because what you're looking for here is perspective. You're not looking for another 10 pager. The reality here is that if you keep reacting instead of anticipating what your year looks like next year, that's what's going to be the catalyst for change. So you already know the answer, and it looks a lot like this one. So I want you to think ahead, I want you to build ahead, and I want you to look ahead. That's the reality for you, because whether you're ready or not, change is coming. And you can either evolve with the change, or you can be stuck behind. You're either green and growing or you're ripe and rotting. So if this hit home with you, I want you to subscribe. I want you to come back. I want you to take a look at some of the leadership tips that I'm providing from now until the end of the year to help you grow your business and cause the change in your business.